warm welcome back and apologies again for the technical difficulties. We are bringing all these from the wilderness where now the trees are starting to grow back, which makes it difficult sometimes when it comes to the internet connections. I am looking for the spotted cat as I indicated earlier on, and here where I am, all I'm seeing is the impalas. I wanted to use these impalas in order to show me where the predators are, but it looks like here where I am, the impalas are not that very concerned. I just want to show you these impalas. They're right here. My apologies again for the inconveniences. We have to go back again to fix the technical issues. Everyone around the world, welcome to Djuma Sabi Sands in South Africa on this beautiful morning. We do apologize about the technical issues we've been having. We're trying to bring you a live game drive walk and safari from 2 locations around the world in South Africa and the Greater Kruger National Park. My name is Steve. I'm joined on camera by Davisito, and we are out on a beautiful morning such as this one. You know, you can interact with us. Hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or throw any comments, questions you might have on the YouTube chat stream. Well, I've got young Holly with me this morning, and well, he is going to be taking over from me in a little while, but we are going to search for all sorts of tracks this morning. He is a tracking expert, so I've asked him to show you all what he knows. So we'll do some tracks. We're going to head off into the area where we last saw the little chief, Hosana. I've got a very strong feeling that he's probably somewhere in the drainage there on some form of kill. We haven't been able to find him since yesterday morning, and well, we've got Herbie with us. So 2 expert trackers, myself doing a little bit of tracking, and Davi, who's also, well, you know, very good at finding the animals. So please jump on board. We're very excited to have you. We're going to be walking through the wonderful wilderness looking for the fresh tracks. Fresh tracks of all sorts of things, but ideally we're going to see if we can find the little chief. But as we go along, the stories in the sand are going to unfold for us, and as we go along, not only looking for the fresh tracks, we're looking for the fresh signs as well. And here is very clear characteristic sign of an elephant. Very fresh and still quite wet and quite moist. The dung beetles have started moving in already, but what's interesting about this is you can actually tell that this is from a boy. And how do you tell from a pile of poo that it's a boy? Well, first of all, the dung is dropped over here. That is where his bum would be, and well, then his legs are over here, and then his urine is over here on the ground. And if you took a hose pipe and you put the hose pipe on the floor, it would make this divot in the ground. And a female often will have the urine pile right here where the dung is, because of the fact that the female parts are on a very similar line and the male parts have a nice big gap between the bottom and the penis, of course. So anyway, these are the signs that we look for, an interpretation of the movement of animals. But I mean, we've got the sunrise over our shoulder there, but Sydney has parked up in a beautiful spot to show you the same.
What a great morning to start with such a lovely sunrise. A very, very good morning, and most of all, welcome to the beginning of our morning safari. This is Sydney Fumunani Mikosi. I am traveling with Marcel, who is my camera operator this morning, and we are going to try by all means to get you see a lot of interesting game this morning. For in case if you need our attention, you can follow us on Twitter, hashtag SafariLive. You can follow us also on YouTube chat stream. My plan this morning is quite very easy. I am looking for the spotted cats. I am missing leopards. Yes, yesterday it was great with the lions, but this morning I'm looking for the spotted cats. So here where I am at the moment is around the Viotella pen, and I would like to again take this opportunity to apologize for the technical difficulties. Maybe we're going to be lucky and see some tracks from any of these leopards. The last time I saw Tingana, it was on Christmas Eve when he was heading much more towards the Buffalo's Walk in the morning. And Hosana, he was last seen somewhere around Chelapen, which direction where I'm heading at the moment. I'm just going to do some little bit of follow-up around that area and carry on much more towards Tree House Dam. I will check all the water points this morning. So the weather is nice and cool. I'm sure this kind of weather is going to... So now let's cross over to the Masai Mara. Competition is too high. David can't wait to start and show you some interesting animals.
Very good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mara Triangle. And is a good beginning to start with Ellis in some kind of mist, and beautiful background from the eastern horizon. Jambo Jambo, and as usual, my name is David. Good morning, everyone, and with me on camera is Archie. Archie, how are you doing? Very excited to have you on board, and remember, we always request you for one small little favor. Comments, questions, should you have, hashtag SafariLive, or keep following us on the YouTube. Today I'm very excited to hear one of my good friends, Luke, who is directing the show today. Luke, Jambo, how are you? And it's pretty good to have you back, especially this time around at Christmas. A little chilly as you go back to our elephants. I have my green Masai shuka on. And when I'm saying chilly, I'm talking about 17 degrees Celsius and 63 degrees Fahrenheit. That's how it looks, or how it feels in the Mara Triangle in Kenya. Well, heard of Ellis there, and there's a huge cow walking, and I'm sure the young one is the one behind. Pretty lush grass we got at the moment with all the rains we've been having. This is our third morning that we have gone without rain, which is very exciting. Nothing against the rain. We still need more rain, but we have been hammered by rain the last 2.5 weeks, almost every afternoon and every morning, more so in the afternoons. And these ellies are in an open area, as you can see. The big difference in terms of vegetation between the Mara and Juma. And it's very good when we see babies, and more so baby elephants this time around Christmas time, which is pretty good. That's the young calf there, and I guess she's just following the mother. My big plans today are to go to what I call the Sausage Republic. There is a pride of lions there that I have not seen now going to a week, and mainly because the area became inaccessible because of the rains and became waterlogged. The soil chemistry of the Mara is basically what you call the black cotton soil, and once it rains, it becomes very soft. So when you sink a little bit and you try to spin your tires, you dig yourself in. We have seen a couple of vehicles that have spent the night out, in the wilderness. So we have been having game rangers going to rescue the tourists, taking them back to their camps, but the vehicles have stayed out in the bush for the night and towed the following day. So we've been very careful. I've been lucky so far this one past week. Haven't gotten stuck, but mainly I did not want to take any chances. Paula, good morning, and how are you? And always a pleasure to hear your name, Paula. I'll tell you, the area Wafo sees Paula, it has been an impossible mission to get there, because the Wafus are in a kind of a flat area, and there the rain was like every other day. And just from a distance, Paul, I can tell you, we could see a stretch of, say, 2 miles from the big road that was all waterlogged. So what we did not want to take any chances. And the rains in the Mara, what they do, Paula, they tend to remain on the ruts that are caused by the vehicles. So we had only one other option, to try and create new trucks to get to the workforce, and we thought that was not very healthy for sustainability, and it would end up not being very environmentally friendly. So we thought we'll wait, dress up a little bit like it is now, and slowly and surely, Paula, we'll try to start encroach to the den where the workforce are. But I just hope they're fine and nothing major. Early this year, well, mid of this year, June, July, is when the rains were so heavy, and the North Clan, especially the Wafus and her clan, had to relocate to higher ground because the dens had lots of water inside. You notice they don't do very deep dens, and they're just small, just to allow the youngsters to stay in. The burrows of the hyenas ideally do not take, or they can't fit the adults inside. Animals I know that never suffered, Paula, and even now with the short rains that we have been having, which has been hitting us heavily, are ellies. Ellies, regardless of the rain intensity, will always be out there feeding and moving. We have seen lots of herbivores have gone to the higher grounds. I'm talking of the Oloro escarpment, just to look for dry areas, because all this flat area you see here is still a bit wet, and there are certain areas, if you don't look carefully, you could easily get stuck. Calfason, very good question. Whether it's black and white, we still don't have the natural color, and as soon as the light breaks out, we'll be going to natural colors. Actually, infrared. Yes, and exactly, we are infrared. She confirms to me, and Calfason, that's the reason why you don't see the elephants or all those trees you see there the way we should be seeing them. We're infrared, and as soon as the day breaks or we get sunrise and we go to the true natural colors, you'll see all what you see in the normal colors. So infrared helps us not to shine any artificial light to these animals, and that's why you see what you see at the moment. It won't take long, maybe another 15-20 minutes. We shall be having natural colors back. So that's Ellie just trying to catch up with the main herd. As I said earlier, my plans today is to go look for my favorite pride of lions, that is called the sausage tree, which I've not seen, I would say, for a couple of days. Well, I'll leave these elephants here enjoying their breakfast and take you back to South Africa to my friend Steve, who I think got a feathered friend.
Well, we are on the search. Now, when you are looking for cats, looking for leopards, looking for lions, well, they generally walk along game paths, and you can quite clearly see this very well-trodden path in front of us here. And this path will take us straight down towards Chelapan area, which is down the road in the center of Djuma. And the reason why we check a game path is because just like we drive on the road, it's quite easy to move along. You can quite easily move for a territorial perspective. It's quieter. There's not as many branches. You can see I can easily walk quietly. As a leopard, they could walk. Maybe some prey animals off to the left, they can stop. And they can walk a bit quicker and quieter along here without crashing through the bushes. So checking game paths, prominent game paths, a very important aspect of tracking. I mean, if you are not a very good tracker, it's fine. You need to look in the right areas. So it's all about instinct. It's all about finding the area where the animal might be. Alex, it can be dangerous walking in the bush, of course. It is, we call potentially dangerous, all of these animals. But the objective is to walk very quietly, always aware of what direction the wind is. And we do have Herbie up ahead. He does have a rifle for purposes of safety in the bush. And people have been conducting bushwalks for many, many years. And, well, you need to get quite qualified, very qualified, in fact, to understand the objectives of walking in the bush. And the objectives, when you get to sort of Herbie's level, is to be able to track an animal, find it, leave without the animal even knowing you were there. So that is the objective. Sometimes they spot you, sometimes they smell you, and sometimes there's a reaction. But you're always aware of escape routes. We've got termite mounds here, we've got big trees, we've got areas where we can get elevation and avoid maybe getting away from the animals. Beard, do you know what? I used to wear boots. I wore boots my whole career. And last year a friend gave me shoes like this, and, well, the difference is incredible when it comes to overheating. I only wear boots now if it's very wet. Other than that, this is the way forward. Every now and again, there are some thorns that go straight through this shoe, but from the cooling point of view, this is the only way I walk these days. The only way. So there's no real issue. I mean, there are snakes and scorpions around, and there is potential of being bitten and stung by those things, but that is constant. That is a thing that can happen all the time. But not only are you aware of the sounds and smells of predators and large animals, you're also looking on the ground for scorpions and snakes. So along a very nice game path like this, Herbie knows, Holly knows, and I know, animals will travel along here. And if you know where you're headed to, the watering hole, you check this one. And if there's nothing coming along this one, check another one. And you check all of the sort of areas you think the animal might walk on. And, well, if they've started on this path, there's a very good chance they're going to continue on. And as they're walking, if an animal suddenly gets interest towards the right or towards the left, you quite often see in their track, the animal will walk, and you'll actually see the tracks will kind of turn. And then you kind of know that the animal is leaning towards the right. They were looking at something towards the side. So if you've lost the tracks walking down here, walk around that way until you find them again. Unlikely it's gone that way. So these are little tricks of the trade that you can utilize to assist in obviously finding the animals. But I'm just going to quickly line up a little shot over here. We're going to be heading straight down towards the sunrise, but in the meantime I'm going to send you up to David in the Mara.
In the bush, Stivovo, but there's one difference between us here in the Mara Triangle and in Juma in South Africa, because we do not do trekking here, we do not do bushwalks. And I've always wondered why we don't do that, because it is quite exciting when you walk and you are able to see a lot of prints on the ground, but more so when you are on the walk and you spot a big mammal, for example, elephants or giraffes or even lions, you know, on a walk. It's always so exciting. I don't know whether it's because the park management here thinks it's rather dangerous for that to be done, but it has never been tried. We got certain parks in Kenya, further north of the equator, in an area we call Laikipia, and they do tracking there. But the Masai Mara tracking has never been done, not once that I know of. And I would just hope maybe one day we'll be doing that, because in the Mara it could be so exciting. And the advantage here, the area in general is very open, you know, the savannah, and you could be like where I am and maybe spot elephants 2 kilometers away, which as the cameraman would getting closer and closer, it could be such great views. Well, hopefully that will happen one day. Getting some guinea hens or guinea fowls here on the road. Guinea fowls don't go anywhere. We want to see you, because when we were young in the village, we used to keep guinea fowls together with the chickens, and they're just running on the edge of the road there. Good morning, guinea fowls. And this particular guinea fowls are called the helmeted guinea fowls. And either they're trying to catch any insect that is flying out there, but mainly they feed on seeds of grasses. Just to see two, which is quite unusual. They like going in flocks of 5s, 10s. So let's just get a little closer to them. We used even to eat them a lot way back in the village, and the eggs almost the same size like the eggs of the chicken. Where are you going? They're entering the grass. Let's see if we can. They must have disappeared. Are they able to catch them? No, they're hiding in the grass, which is fine. We could even eat their meat, not anymore now, because we are all involved in conservation and we want to keep them going, so that we are always able to bring you such exciting sighting out here from the African wilderness. Well, this road takes me to my destination I was talking about, to look for my lions, but I think Sydney got some kind of antelope.
I have got an antelope here, the impala you can see right doing some grazing, and together with one of the striped animals. And the striped animal is one of those who does attract the big predators such as the lions. So the zebras and these impalas, they are forming a very good relationship. And if you can check nicely here, you will see that the impalas, all of them are carrying horns. And when they are carrying horns like this, it means they are part of a certain group called a bachelor herd. A bachelor herd consists of those impalas who has been defeated on their old territories, together with the young males which have not started mating yet. So the young males, they are learning how to establish families from the losers. Interesting. So these impalas, together with these zebras, they've got kind of a mutualistic relationship at the moment, because animals such as the zebras, they can see very, very well. And when they can see well, you might find that the sense of smell of an animal such as the impala maybe is not that good. So they are depending on each other in order to detect the predator. So there's quite a lot of dependencies amongst these animals when they are feeding. So the zebra that we are seeing, this is called a bachelor zebras. I know a lot of people, they do have a confusion between them and the mountain zebras. Here comes the difference. If you look at the stripes nicely, some of the stripes are obstructed by some of the birds. You can see there's two birds hanging on that zebra there. So the bachelor zebras, they have got some yellowish shadow. You can see between the black stripes, on top of the white stripe, there is a yellowish shadow on that stripe. The mountain zebra don't have the yellowish shadows. And the bachelor zebras, the stripes are coming from underneath the stomach, whereas the mountain zebras, the stripes are just halfway down to the stomach. And the bachelor zebras, they have got elongated ears, whereas the mountain zebras has got pointed ears. This animal, zebra, has got a good kick and turn mechanism. Thank you very, very much, Angela, for such a positive comment about learning quite a lot every day I'm out on game drives. So you can see now that this zebra is every time waving the tail. The hairs hanging on the tail helps them in order to get rid of the flies. So you can see that he's waving the tail all the time. The difference between male and female zebra is right there where we are seeing. The male zebra has got a thin line under the tail, and the female zebra has got a broad line under the tail. The zebras, they normally weigh up to 550 kilograms. And if you can check, 550 kilograms is one of those targets when it comes to predation. Lions, they prefer something weighing from 550 onwards because they consider the number of individuals by every pride or every coalition. They want everybody to get satisfied. So that's why amongst these two, zebra is standing a better chance to run away from the lions, because lions, the impalas are standing a better chance in order to avoid the lions when feeding with the zebra, because they won't come for the impalas. That zebra is going to be the one on target. Paula, the bachelor zebras and the mountain zebras, the possibilities of these two species to interbreed, they are very much high. So if these animals are staying together, they can interbreed. You can see that this zebra is Marvel, the purpose of the stripe. Zebras, let me answer this question broadly. A social structure of the zebra is called a harem, where we have got one breeding male in charge of several females. A collective noun for all zebras together is called a dazzle. Here is where the stripes are needed the most. A dazzle is when these kind of zebras are running away. When they're running away from the predator, it's when they're dazzling. So they do employ an anti-predatory strategy, which is called a dazzle motion. Dazzle motion, it means when they're running away, their stripes confuse the predators on the lookout. So the zebra's anti-predatory strategies, they don't work similar like the impalas. The impalas, when they see something, when they're standing against these trees, the stripes on impalas break the impala into three different dimensions. So if you check, they've got three colors: bright white on the stomach, and light brown on the side, and dark brown on top. They can only blend when motionless. Zebras employ anti-predatory strategy when running away, which is different from quite a lot of animals. Joe, the leopards, one thing you must know about zebras is their kick and turn mechanism. When the zebra is turning to the right, he kicks to the left. When it is turning to the left, he kicks to the right. Zebras, animals such as the leopards, they don't hunt as a group. They are solitary. A fully grown or an adult zebra is quite heavy and is quite big for a leopard to drag up into a tree. Yes, when the zebras has got babies, they... Listen to that. You can hear there is a hyena calling. There is a hyena calling just by the eastern side of these zebras and impalas. What a lovely call in the morning like this, shortly after the sunrise. So that is the brown hyena who is giving some calls. Normally, hyenas, they do follow the predators. Maybe he's coming from visiting a pride of lions that side, or maybe a leopard which has caught something. If not that, it's just out there for foraging purposes. They also do their own hunting. I'm just going to carry on. So now let's quickly head back to Steve and see how his guided walk is doing this morning.
Exodus, we can also hear the hyena just off to our right-hand side. Yeah, such a nice sound in the morning. We've come down to the Umawati drainage, checking a couple of these little muddy pans and wallows. And quite easy to tell that we're at a muddy wallow. If you look at this tree here, elephant, most likely an elephant, has been in the mud and he's come and scratched. Look at all of this mud. He's covered himself in mud and then had a real scratch against this rusted bush willow that probably had quite an affair. If you think about a big elephant scratching this tree, well, that's probably why the tree's shaped the way it is, even all the way down here. It's been scraped upon. This is sort of the height you would find warthogs scraping on. So when you do have a look down, sometimes elephants will use their legs and their feet, but when you look down, you often find some form of... No, that's part of the tree. With warthogs, you often find some hair. There we go. There we go. There's bristles, probably from either the back of the head or from the face. Bristles of warthog. Some more over here. Just caked in the mud. Sometimes you can even find attached to the log itself. Warthog over here. No, I think that might be a stick. Anyway, looks like warthog fur. So these animals like to cool down by coming to the wallows, and it's not only elephants or buffalo that like to. The leopards will come down here and drink, and also, as we know, lie up in ambush. So we'll find all these muddy wallows. We'll see just over here. We'll have a look at it. Oh, here's another little... That's a perfect little scratching post for a warthog. They'll get right on top of this, and that part there, and that part there, on the belly button. Oh, I promise you, you'll see those warthogs pulling the coolest faces as they get their body over here, and they just start scratching. But the muddy wallow here, we're having a look around it. The Umawati drainage system is over here. We're going to be moving around this watering hole. Just further down by Chelapan is where we last saw Hosanna. So we're going to have a look around because, well, he hasn't seemingly come out in the last day. Haven't found any tracks, so we're going to have to get right in there and have a look with our wind direction blowing all the way up to the Mara.
Well, Steve, if you're able to track down Hosanna on foot, I'll be a very excited boy from Kenya, and I'm sure you can because the other day you were able to spot him on foot. Well, our sunrise have just shot up on the eastern horizon, and we have some very nice tree, the torchwood tree, making it a natural framing there, and beautiful colors. In the morning to see the whole ball come up from the horizon all the way up, and this is going to grace our day. We have gone about 2 weeks almost without seeing either sunrise or sunsets here because of the rains we've been going through, And how beautiful is that? All the colors I love to see in the morning, which always brighten my day. There they are. And in the background, I'm not sure you can hear, there's an elephant there. It's going. Well, there's a herd of elephants in front of us, and I would just wish. Let's already you see what a stunning view, and it could not be better. It's just wonderful. And apparently, just to the right, you see what's happening. There's a lady there. Elephant just coming in the frame. And how lovely is that? Thank you very much, elephant. Stop there for a couple of seconds, please. Fantastic. This is what I'd call a highlight for my morning drive today. I'm not sure whether I'll have anything that is going to beat this. Yeah, I'm happy that Luke is also enjoying it in the final control, because there's certain moments in life that we miss and we just take for granted. But when you see such a sighting, it looks like a painting, a tree, sunrise, an elephant, and another one coming in. What a stage. They look to be like on a movie act, and such a sweet set to see in the morning. Hopefully we'll have another elephant coming in. This is a herd of them. And this is how our lives are. And we always feel very privileged to be working here or doing this every day. And remember, we always have a very interactive safari, so we love hearing from you with your questions and comments. Hashtag SafariLive. I think that elephant thinks it has done its set. It's time to leave the stage. Maybe allow another one, or maybe just allow us to see the torchwood as the tree, or rather as the sun is just getting right in the middle of the canopy of that tree. All right, that elephant's out, another one in. Excellent. This area is what we call the burnt area, with very short grass, and these elephants know that it's very nutritious at the moment, and especially if they've got young ones with them. So we had some fire here a couple of months ago. That was all man-made, not natural fire. And the game rangers sometimes will think, by burning some of these areas, any bugs that will be here will be killed. Any foreign plants that can be here also dies. And when the rains come, it's just all beautiful, and all natural plants and grass come up. And then it becomes very popular, the small little antelopes, like the Thompson gazelles. Well, it's a big mama coming in there. I think it thought the young one took so long just to come and walk across our stage for the sunrise, and she's just passing there with her calf. How magnificent. Catch up with mom. Don't stay very behind. How sweet to see such a young baby Ellie. So this one just taking its time. It's not in a rush. Still maybe in the Christmas mood. There she goes. And when you go slowly here in Kenya, when you go without any rush or speed, we shall see pole. So this big mama being followed with her calf. Not sure she's the matriarch. In every group of elephants, you'll have one female that will be in charge. And yes, it's time for many baby elephants around here. And I was saying yesterday or the day before during Christmas, it's time for families. Even elephants are having family time. I'm not sure that elephant has half a tail. It seems that part of the tail is missing. I could be wrong, but I'm seeing half a tail. And you can see now we are all in the natural colors. I had a viewer who wanted to know why earlier we were in black and white and we're in infrared. And now because the lighting looks good, we're in all our natural colors. When it rains like this, we notice not unactually timing for babies. Jane, good morning, and you're asking what's my favorite thing being a guide in the Mara. Well, number one is exactly like what I'm watching here, Jane. Every day I see elephants in the Mara. It's a good day for me. Apparently, elephants are my favorite animals, and I could not ask for anything better. The days I'll be out here in the Mara, in one day of the animals, Jane, we call the big five, I could possibly see the big four in one day, and very easily. And sometimes I don't have to drive for many kilometers to spot them. And Jane, as you've just seen that sunrise, if you're here in the Mara and you see the sunrise, Jane, every day, and you see the sunset every day, it's wonderful. There's a bird there which is flying, landed there, and I think that's a black-bellied bustard. So Jane, seeing such birds just taking off, flying, landing, I mean, you know, you cannot ask for anything better than this. Elephants coming to the screen, coming to the shot, in and out, you know. So I enjoy this every morning, and there are times when you go out on a drive and you do not see any other car with you. It's just you and your camera operator and the animals. Fresh air, Jane, here, don't forget. It's so wild, it's so quiet. Like now, if you keep quiet for a couple of seconds, you can just hear the silence. So Jane, away from the big cities with the traffic and all the noise of, you know, people and phone calls, here everything is always in general dead quiet. Little breeze of the wind, as you can see on the grass there, and that's more or less like it. Who would not love to be here or to do what I'm doing? Beautiful landscape. Ingrid, you're asking what time of the day now? It's about 7 o'clock, 7:30, and it's just when the sun just rises there. I just want to double confirm that for you. Don't go very far. I'll always keep my watch away. And the time is early in the morning, and if I'm not wrong, we are talking of it's about 6:45 or about 13 minutes to 7 o'clock, and that is East African time. And I'm sure you know, between us and South Africa, where Steve is, and Sydney, we are 1 hour apart. So we are 1 hour ahead of them. When it gets dark here much earlier than in South Africa, and most of the evenings we go to infrared much earlier than them. All right, I just had blocked the road to catch this sunrise, and you can see some of the game rangers coming. I may have to give them way so that they are able to pass. They might wonder, what is this man doing here? Okay, I might have to do a few turns. All right, I'll now have to go look for my lions. In the meantime, I'll take you back to Sydney in South Africa to see how his morning is going.
I am now just around the Treehouse Dam. I am checking, and the only tracks I am seeing on the road is the tracks for leopards yet. These leopards, checking the and see if there are no movement in that area. Here I am, it looks very much.
Well, sorry about the gremlins there. These things will happen once in a while, and you'd imagine we are like thousands and thousands of miles in Africa to come to your living rooms on your screens, but above all, we have the wilderness here and a lot of challenges we face through. So once in a while, we'll have what you call technical issues, but we have a wonderful team of engineers in the final control who will always fix those problems easily. Well, I have decided to leave my elephants and move on and go chance for my lions. And there's another car of game rangers coming ahead of us. One thing I have always found the game rangers love to do is to drive very fast. So you're going to see the amount of dust they're going to blow. So they're going to stay on the side out of the road because they seem to be flying low. They seem to be very fast. I'm not sure why they have to drive so quickly. Either they could be on a mission, but I've been buried by dust there. Let me just go back to the big road. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, how fast to move forward now to try and get myself out of this place they've put me in, trying to get away from them. Well, that happens. Yeah, we are winning here, we are winning. Pack up, very well done. I was talking about the black cotton soil earlier on, and I said it becomes very, very wet and very soft. So I had just 2 tires of the left side get in that particular area to get away from those game rangers who are flying low, and then it was a challenge for me to come out. But now I'm out and back in business. Well, going to my destination, and hopefully I'm going to see the lions. So the challenges we face as guides, there's Leopard lady, good morning, and you'd like to know what's my favorite bird in the Mara. It's only one, and that bird is called the lilac-breasted roller. The lilac-breasted roller is my favorite bird, and what I'll do, I will be stopping in 2 seconds, and I want to show you how it looks like. If we see it, it'll be so good. If we don't, you know, nothing to worry. I have a book here, and my book will always be having birds. I think it's better if I show you how it looks like on the book. And it's called the lilac-breasted roller. And where are you today? I haven't, since yesterday didn't see it, and the day before. And it's a roller, so it should be under R. Okay, cool. Rollers. Yes, the lilac-breasted roller 61. Okay, here we are. So I want to show you my favorite. There's so many rollers here. I don't know how that actually looks like. Not sure I'm on the way. And the lilac-breasted roller, it should be number 4. And I think actually we'll just pan there. That's number 4 there. Excellent. Leopard lady, I hope you can see that. That is my favorite bird in Africa. And the reasons why I would say it's my favorite bird is because of her colors. And she's got the lilac, because you can see the lilac color there carefully. But apart from that, she also got many other colors. There's blue, there's black, there's white, there's brown, there's green. She is very colored. And for a bird of that size to have so many colors, it's something very special. Michelle, very good to hear your name. How are you today? And I hope you're having some nice Christmas. And you say it's also your favorite bird. Thank you, Michelle. I mean, this bird, I would say, is the most celebrated bird in Africa. It has more photographs, or it has been photographed, than any other bird, I would guess, in Africa. I could be wrong, but I'd be happy to hear, you know, what Steve and Sid think. It is the most photographed bird in Africa. Apart from that, of course, we have other rollers, like the one you see top there. That's the broad-billed roller, which you also see here in the Mara. And once in a while, we see another one that we call the Eurasian roller. This is number 3 there. It's number 3 there. That's the Eurasian roller. And Eurasian means it's a migrant. It will be here in the Mara once in a while. In fact, it should be around here because it comes here around the month of October up to April next year, then it'll migrate back to Europe. Well, that's it about the rollers, and hopefully we're going to see some at one point. They call them the rollers because they have been found to, like, sometimes, you know, mate in the air. All right, please look, give me that question again from Lisa as I move on to look for my lions. Very good, Lisa, a very good question. And I'll tell you, Lisa, I mean, talking of the rollers do not have what we call sexual dimorphism. Lisa, it's very difficult to tell the rollers males from females. And if you see two together, the only thing can help you identify or tell males from females if they are together is the male is slightly bit bigger than the female, Lisa. That's the only way you can tell their sexual dimorphism. Unlike other birds, for example, ostriches or sandal-billed storks, that you can tell like that, the difference between males and females, I would say they do not have sexual dimorphism. So very difficult to tell them apart. If let's say you're lucky maybe to see the mating, you can always, know male and female. But as it is, it's always so difficult to tell. I think you might have spotted some other bird there. Let me just back up a little bit. And a vehicle in the back there. Okay, we got some bird of prey on perched on a tree, and we got some hyenas, I guess, eating. Got some, could be a nice sighting. Keep coming. I think there is an eagle somewhere. Looks like a tawny eagle. Just have to back up slowly. Okay, keep coming. Okay, now let's see. We've got some exciting things here. We were talking about the rollers, but I think we might be having a different bird, a bird of prey on top of a tree. Turn around this way. And my guess is this is a tawny eagle. We need to see you better. Yeah, good morning. And she's, I'm sure, warming herself on that tortured tree, preening her feathers. And that's very beautiful, as Luke says in the final control, because the location, she has, the position she has perched herself on at the edge of that little branch there. But also you notice she blends in very well with that tree, and that's how they are able to hide or blend to be able to spot or get to see prey for themselves. Most birds of prey will feed on other smaller birds, or what we call raptors. And raptors means, birds that tend to seize or to grasp other prey forcibly. A raptor is a bird that will use force of some kind to catch things. So we say basically raptors are birds that seize or they seize other birds to feed on. So apart from that, why she's looking that direction is because there's some hyenas there, and once in a while we have seen tawny eagles going to scavenge where hyenas or lions have been feeding on. And these two hyenas are definitely feeding on something. And I hope, Paula, you're still on board. And this is not the North Clan Paula. These ones belong to another clan that we call the Happy Zebra Clan, and they're led by one female matriarch that we call the Pike. So Pike would be the competitor of Waffles, but Waffles is, a force to reckon with. But some of the ladies who have been researching on these hyenas from the Michigan University were telling us maybe sooner or later Waffles might be overthrown by her granddaughter called Soup. We do not know as yet because we haven't not been there. Trish, you said they look very plump, and I agree with you. I don't want to say they're pregnant because it could be possible, but I think also they could be enjoying a meal here. Not seeing very well what they're feeding on, but I guess they are just scavenging on something. But looking on their bellies, yes, they look fat and they look in the best body colors. Maybe because of the rains that have been going on, they have been washed clean for the last 2 weeks, and they haven't been able to go back to the mud and dirtify themselves or cover themselves with mud again. Yes, definitely some scavenging here. It's not fresh kill. I don't see any blood. I haven't seen any lions or any vultures around. It could have been an old wildebeest, an old zebra. Now with the migration gone, where they've been enjoying all these fresh kills from the cats, now they have to scavenge a lot. But talking of scavenging, that doesn't mean they don't hunt for themselves. Hyenas also tend to be very good hunters. I would say 70% of what they eat, they hunt themselves. There's a little call there, and that's the tawny eagle. You can hear that audio. It's an audio from the tawny eagle. I'm not sure why she's calling, which was pretty good to hear. Well, I want to keep going and leave this tawny eagle enjoying herself here and preening herself. She just turned around and pooh, yeah, that was very good and a very quick one. And I'm sure she is much lighter, could be ready to fly. And we'll take you back to South Africa to Steve and find out how his tracking's going.
Thanks, David. Well, it is a beautiful morning here. It is getting quite nice and warm, and unfortunately, where we've been down in the drainage, we've been getting no real signal. David is walking around with this big pole on his back, and because of the greenery and the trees, it's becoming quite difficult for the sort of signal to go through. But we're checking these pathways and thought we just might stop quickly, show a couple more tracks along the way. And here we go. We've got a beautiful track here of two hooves. You can see the front foot and the back foot over there. And well, Holly, will you just bring my book there, please? It was very important, folks, to have a look. Now, this is definitely going to be an animal that is directly registering. You can see the front foot. Thank you, sir. And you can see the back foot. Ideally, the animal's trying to stand on its track. You can see the front foot, the back foot. So that's a characteristic feature of these thicket-dwelling animals. So it could either be a duiker, a kudu, or a bushbuck, or sorry, a nyala. So any of those four individuals. But the important thing is to measure it. If you know the size, you can eliminate a huge amount of information. So the back foot is about 4 centimeters or so, plus minus. Menamu, animal tracks take a little practice, so a lot of practice in fact, but when you have a look at, you've got to look at what they're doing, how they're moving. It will help you to identify. The hardest tracks out here, most people struggle with their first time seeing an aardvark track because they look quite strange. They're quite big. They've got all sorts of different appendages that people aren't always looking at. But sometimes the easiest tracks, like a hippo or a rhino, can be confusing for people because they're not looking at the entire thing. So, for example, when if I draw a circle for you here, I draw a circle around the track. That is what people do. They look inside the box and they stop looking outside the box. And so quite often you can just basically circle a little bit of a track, and that's what people look at. They don't actually think that there's any more to it. But what you can see here, you can see this is about 4 centimeters, and there's a ridge in the middle, and it is trying to directly register there. So the size, and I'll show you from the opposite side here. Can you see the shape of this duiker track here? You see that's exactly the same. 4 centimeters, 4 centimeters, walking very, very camouflaged, or should I say directly registering. Now you could confuse this with the nyala, but the nyala track is normally much bigger, and often if you have a look at nyala, you've got to look around because there are lots of duiker in the area and there are lots of nyala, and often when you find nyala tracks, you find families together, whereas duikers are solitary or maybe two of them together. And it's not the easiest because we've only got two right over here. We don't have the rest of the animals around, but what is noticeable is that the back toe, the animal is kind of stepping in a little bit, almost as if it's on its tippy toes, but still a flat track and heading in that direction. So we're going to continue on. There's a few more tracks along the way we'd like to look at. We're checking all of the little mud wallows and washing holes. Hassan hasn't come out of the thicket. We have had a look all the way around. We've had other vehicles that are checked at the eastern side of where we were looking. There's no tracks coming out, but it seems like Sydney has headed down to Chitwa again. No doubt he's going to be showing you some lovely birds and some hippos.
So you can see I have got one of the lovely big animals who is just now resting by the Chitwa waterhole. It's not one, there's quite a few of them. Some of them are just now underwater, which is normal. Hippopotamus, they do like to submerge a lot just to try and lower down the temperature a little bit. But now the sun is coming out, and it's coming out strongly. I can feel that it's hot already here where we are. Look at that. That's quite a big animal. So the hippopotamus can weigh up to 1,500 to 1,700 kilograms. This is the third largest land mammal. So after the rhino come the hippopotamus. Obvious, the biggest one is the elephant. So these animals, you will see they like to show off their tooth structure. When opening the mouth, you will see this lovely dental structure with these very big teeth, up to 40 to 50 centimeters long. So the hippopotamus, they've got just about 36 teeth. But sometimes when they're adults, they can also keep their milk teeth. And sometimes when they're adults, you can find that instead of having 36, they are having approximately 40 teeth. Then they will keep milk teeth for a while before they want them. So this hippopotamus, they just got back now because normally they leave after the sunset and come back just before the sunrise. So they have been grazing all night long, and when it's during the dark, no sun, is when they enjoy their grazing activities. Because when the sun is too hot, it's difficult. Their bodies, unfortunately, they are lacking of a sweat glands, but they do have another gland which helps them in order to prevent sunburn. It's called a subcutaneous gland. This subcutaneous gland is the one they are using in order to avoid the sun. So you will see when the hippopotamus is out, Dory, that must be a very serious toothache. When the hippo is having a toothache with such a very big tooth, can be very much painful. I can imagine that. But if you can check, considering the diet, they only graze. So I don't think because of grazing they can experience too much toothache problems. But to those animals who are feeding on hard material, such as the elephants, I can imagine. Because sometimes these trees maybe can cause them injuries, internal injuries in the mouth. So here it's just the hippopotamus having fancy teeth that are not used for anything. Oh, look at the goslings. We've got a group of the goslings coming in to drink now. Oh, this is lovely. Apologies for the antennae at the back. Look, these Egyptian goose are really looking after their goslings, because I have seen them. It was quite a lot before. I'm just going to try and count them, but it's difficult now with the reflection of these goslings by the water. I'm not going to get the good results. Let me just wait a little bit. So approximately 10 goslings we are seeing at the moment, according to Marcel, my camera operator, who is counting them easily from his side at the moment. What I like about the Egyptian goose is the behavior they got, which is called a destructive behavior. Destructive behavior is a behavior where the adults pretend as if their wings are broken when trying to divert the attention of the predator to their little ones or to the eggs. You will see normally they are just going to act as if they've got a broken wing, and that is going to attract the predator to focus on the adults, thinking about an adult as an easy meal. Soon as the predator starts approaching the adult, you will see the adult is going to fly. And that is going to serve the eggs, because the predator won't be able to easily reallocate where that predator was before wanting to chase the adult. So the last time I saw this, they are about 10. Now you can easily count them on a convoy. And this number has been like this for quite a long time. So that's why I'm saying congratulations. I'm giving them a compliment, because in the bush, it's not easy to raise the little ones, not only to the birds, including the big predator we know, such as the lions and leopards. When they leave behind their cubs by the dens, some other predators, they do come and kill them and eat them to avoid competition. So these ones, they are doing very well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be leaving the chitwa and see if I can track down any of the predators. The reason why I'm keeping this sighting by the chitwa short is that the sun is getting strong, and when the sun is very strong like this, it does minimize the activities of the predators. So if I don't look for the predators when they're still much more active now, chances of us not seeing the predators are very much high. So I'm just going to check around here. And some other predators such as kuchava, they are residing much more this side of chitwa. We might be lucky, who knows. Let me just go and try my luck. So on top of the dam wall here, I'm only seeing quite a lot of impala tracks and waterbucks, but no predators yet. The lions were here yesterday all day long. They left probably maybe after we have left the area, which was during the dark. So I can see that all these animals here, they are enjoying their grazing and browsing. They don't have any stress. It means predators are gone. But the problem is the predators can easily get camouflaged. Call 6 is just that there was a problem with a network problem. Earlier on, we had some technical difficulties. I saw fresh tracks and droppings of the buffaloes, showing that the buffaloes slept in one of the corners by the Juma Game Reserve, and this morning crossed over to a private property. They were just on the other side of the road by our side, and in the morning they just went back to one of the properties. So I saw fresh tracks and fresh droppings and markings and urine showing that they slept there. But it was not a big head. I could see that it was a very small head. So let's hope to find some of the interesting animals here in this area. Oh, apologies for that. It looks like there is some construction in the area. So the closest populated city from here, I can say, I'm not too sure about the distance between Nelspruit, which is in Mpumalanga, and Polokwane, which is in Limpopo. So they are both not very, very far, but I think Nelspruit is much closer than Polokwane. But also Johannesburg is not far away from here. It's about 5 to 6 hours. So this side of Chitwa is consisted of quite a lot of big open spaces. And these big open spaces is catering for the animals who does not have a very good wide vision. So a lot of warthogs in the area here, they are grazing by these big open spaces, and they've got babies, so it's good for them to bring their babies by the open areas where they can easily detect their predators before any damage. Yeah, so now I am trying to check here. I can pick up quite a lot of distinctive smells, but the smell I can pick up that is just from the impala droppings. So these animals, they don't have the same kind of smell. They are droppings as well. Some of them smell different. Like droppings of the elephants is different from the rhino droppings and the hippopotamus droppings. These three you can easily distinguish. I can easily distinguish amongst elephant, rhinos, as well as the hippopotamus. Their droppings don't smell the same, although the elephants, they've got a completely different diet from the hippo and the rhino. The hippo, white rhino, and the hippopotamus, they've got same kind of diet, but those droppings, they don't smell the same. So only the black rhino is the one who feed on leaves, which is now a different diet from the white rhino and the hippopotamus. And the droppings for the black rhino as well, it doesn't smell the same as the one for the elephants. Elephants, they mix both grasses and leaves. So the black rhinos, they only browse, they don't mix. Oh, here we have got the impalas. You can see now the impalas are moving much more towards the open spaces. Some of the impalas are still looking pregnant. I can see that one is looking pregnant. Oh, there's quite a lot of babies now coming to cross the road in front of us there. So these babies, they are under protection of their mothers. So a group of the little ones together is called a nursery herd. The little ones are more or less the same kind of age. You will see them always walking together. You can see when these little ones are born, already they've got the black tufts here on the hind legs, which is a special gland. It's part of the sebaceous gland. It is termed the metatarsusal gland. Metatarsusal gland is a gland the impalas are using to communicate below their predator's hearing. Once a predator is spotted, they've got to jump and spray a very distinctive smell, and they leave this smell by the air particles. The other ones they can be able to sniff these air particles and pick up the secretion and just disappear. So it's like they're all wearing the black socks. So the animals such as the leopards, they do sometimes catch these baby impalas for a diet. I can hear there's quite a lot of hornbills who are excited and giving some of the calls this morning. So these animals, the antelopes, most of them, they do have some of the glands which are associated with the urine. And when they're urinating, when they squat, sometimes this kind of urine can also touch here at the sides of their hind legs. And that is what is going to keep the scent on the legs when they're walking on the ground, is when they're also going to pick up, is when they're going to leave behind a pheromone, which is used for communication. So now I'm going to be moving forward and see if we can pick up any of the predators' tracks in order to track down an animal. But before I do that, I want to go back to the bush walk and see how Steve and the team is doing.
Thanks, Sidders. Well, we've been looking at tracks, trying to get some tracks on film for you. Unfortunately, we're in quite a low-lying area and we've been losing signal. But we've got some tracks just up ahead here. We're hoping it's going to work. Please bear with us. Watch out for this, Darby. This plant here, it's one of the hibiscus plants. Can be quite painful to touch on the leg. But we've got some really cool tracks in the mud here. There's nothing nicer than a little bit of mud. Very hard to age muddy tracks. Mud has the potential to actually almost fossilize something, which you will then find many, many years later if that then gets inundated. There were some tracks of humans found not far from, well, in East Africa 2 million years ago in some mud that then got fossilized. So very, very cool. That should be small things of the time, obviously predating lots of our evolution. But what we've got in this little mud here, which is, and pay attention, because these are the sort of things that will be coming up on Tracking Tuesday. And remember, when you're going to have a look at a track, you want to identify it, use some form of measurement. This is 10 centimeters, and here we got the track here. I'm going to put that next to it, and if you look closely, just get myself a little stick, a little bit of grass, you can see that there's two shapes here. Here is a line with a claw, with a claw, with a claw, and there's the foot. There's a backwards K, and on this side it's a K. Can you see that, Darby? Claws 1, 2, 3, 4, which basically means 2 toes forward, 2 toes back, 2 toes forward, 2 toes back. And that K is the characteristic shape for an owl. And now, because we've measured it, it's just under 10 centimeters. We can go into the book and have a look. Do I have an owl in here? Ah, hornbill. Well, some of you out there thinking hornbill. I don't think this book of mine has actually got owl in here. I've definitely drawn it in at some point to in my book. But a K, that is going to be a giant eagle owl. Would you agree, Ollie? Ollie agrees with me, giant eagle owl because of the size. But the K, very characteristic. All owls have got a K in the way that they move because they got what we call zygodactyl feet, 2 toes forward, 2 toes back. Okay, but we're going to continue straight on to over here. And someone mentioned hornbill track. And well, this is indeed a hornbill. I couldn't tell you if it's a red or a yellow-billed, but this has got the very characteristic shape and the toes of a hornbill. I'll put my measurement on the other side there. It's about 6 centimeters or so. And you could easily see we've got the back toe here. We've got the one toe on the left, and those 2 toes there are actually fused. We call that syndactyl. The 2 inner toes are fused on the hornbill. It's quite a characteristic feature of their foot structure. So 1 toe back, 1 to the left, and 2 fused. And you can see it on the other side. 1 to the back, 2 fused, and 1 out on the left. They're very characteristic of all of the hornbill species. And then we've got one more just over here. And that is very characteristic. You can see there's 3 toes. 1, 2, 3, and the back toe comes at an angle. And this is the very characteristic shape of a dove track. So very good. Mud is a fantastic medium for having a look at tracks, and the owl actually moved across. And we've got another small track here. I'm going to jump across. Darby, I wonder if you want to join me. Patrick, no, these game paths are not mapped, in fact. There's no mapping of the game paths. The roads are most certainly mapped.
Well done, Steve, and I finally got to my destination, the area I wanted to be, and all this here is the Sausage Republic. Now, the only thing that has not happened is for them to show up. Normally, when the migration goes, the lions do not go with them, they stay back. And when they stay back, they need to improvise and know what they'll be feeding on or what they'll be hunting. Now, the sausage tree pride, I have known them to be very good in bringing down big prey like buffaloes. So what I'm trying to do now is to look for any small or any big herd of buffaloes, and from that area I can have roughly an idea of where they could be, because definitely they need to feed. In that pride there are 5 females and there are 3 cubs. I would say 2 cubs now would be going to almost 5 months, and maybe 1 cub, the younger one, going to 4 months roughly there. So they definitely must be getting food for them. They won't just wait or just sit there and wait until next year when the wildebeest come back, and they either deal with buffaloes or deal with elands or giraffes. That's exactly what they would be feeding on at the moment. So any buffaloes that I would see will give me a clue of where they could be, because buffaloes move. They also do migrate, but they don't, say, cover as many kilometers like the wildebeest or the zebras. 15, 20 miles in a particular area, in a particular radius, that's the distance they will move, but not the thousands of miles the wildebeest zebras go. And it's what you July when the wildebeest come back. Ask of the 5 is king, but the other one which we haven't named as yet, to me, I would imagine now that she must have given birth by now. But nobody have seen her, nobody who has an idea, not even the game rangers. Every time, as much as I don't see them or I don't come to this area or in the afternoon during the game drive, I'll talk to the game rangers and they tell me they have no news as yet. So nobody knows at the moment whether she has given birth or not. But as soon as she has, maybe after about 5 or 7 days, once the calves are strong enough, they can walk, their eyes open, they'll be able to move out and maybe come out in the open, which will be quite exciting. We've got a small herd of buffaloes here. Not exactly what I'd be looking for. I'd be looking for a little bigger herd than this, but I'll not be surprised maybe even if those lions could be around here. These are the African Cape buffaloes, and my guess is they are all bulls, being where they are and being such a small number. I'll just guess they are all boys. And they found themselves such a nice area, such beautiful green grass, and in the background there there's a little stream where they could be drinking. Yes, that's cool, very nice look to just see African buffaloes and all being boys shaking their heads, wondering what we are made of. Only if I could speak the buffalo language and ask them where the lions I'm looking for could be. Is it the best time to visit the Mara? I would say June, July, August. The reason why I'm saying that, we'll have definitely come out of the long rains that time around, and everything will be lush and green like this. But above all, we have what we call the migration, and the migration is June, July, August. We have thousands and thousands of wildebeest. They just look like ants, and of course that translates to lots of cats or predators following them, and of course lots of vultures in there feeding on the carcasses from what the lions kill. So I'd say June, July, Azi, latest August is the best time to come visit the Mara. Rain's gone, and it's also warm, and the temperatures are also very good. All right, buffaloes, thank you very much. You did not show me any sign of my lions, so I'll leave you there and move on. Giraffe girl, how are you? And Merry Christmas. Hopefully you're still enjoying Christmas. Buffaloes in general will be in big herds, and they do anything they can to avoid each other. I don't think I've ever seen a situation where buffaloes cross each other on territories, and I would say they're not very territorial buffaloes, but they have what we call very huge home ranges. So they have, like, you know, they behave more or less like cheetahs, the females, which don't have particular territories like lions or leopards. So buffaloes, just like most herbivores, I would say they do not have particular territories. So long as where they are, they got food, they got water, they'll just keep moving. And you see one herd coming from one way, you see the other herd trying to veer away from the other herd. This is the only one area I would expect the lions to have shifted to. There's one particular area they stayed for about 3 months. Every other day I would go there. I would say 9 out of 10 times I found them there, and that's how I ended up calling this area, or that particular area, the Sausage Republic. But I think with the wildebeest gone, they also shifted, and it has become very tricky now to keep track of them. But I'm saying the moment I get hold of them, I'm not going to lose them again. I was thinking of the one polar female that's just about to give birth, they might have gone in an area to hide. David, how are you? And I'll tell you, this particular pride I'm talking about, the Sausage Tree Pride, they're very successful. And I think this they have learned with time. They know once the wildebeest are gone, which are always easy to bring down, zebras gone, they have to deal now with the big game, because once in a while we have seen buffaloes turning tables against the lions and hurting them, and occasionally even killing them. Yesterday we had some very exciting moments. We have another pride of lions that we call the Olololos, and they're trying to hunt a buffalo. And Olololos is a very huge pride, about 16 of them. Sorry about that. And to be able to feed so many mounts, they have to bring down a big prey. And about 3 weeks ago, they brought down 2 buffaloes. So this particular pride, I have seen them a number of times, even when the wildebeest are around, bringing down buffaloes just like that. And when lions hunt buffaloes, in general, they'll want an extra muscle of a male to help subdue the prey or the buffalo. But the females of the sausage bride, they have done that many a times without the help of a male. Well, sausages, you need to show up. I've been looking for you for a couple of days now. The rains have subsided, and as I said earlier, 3 days now we have gone without any rains. So I have no reason not to get them, and they can be possibly comfortably be able to venture out from the big road. Very good, very good. I'll feel so excited if I see the sausages today. Sydney, what's your latest update?
The leopards here where I am is difficult, as I have not yet picked up any of the fresh tracks. Yes, I've seen the tracks, but the tracks I saw, they are not convincing. They are old. So I'm looking for the fresh tracks. And now I'm heading much more towards the Buffalo's Hook. I've checked the Cheetah Cut line, border between us and Torchwood, and there's nothing there. So it means somewhere here in the middle by the Juma Game Reserve is where things are happening. So the hyenas is the one who has been to everywhere. Also here where I am in the middle, I can see the hyena tracks. And these hyenas, I don't have to undermine them because they know where the predators are. I always rely on hyenas when I see them. So hyenas, they do go greet the predators most of the time. Here I can smell that the hippopotamus were grazing in these bushes. Thank you very much for all the good wishes with regards to the search on this beautiful cat, Hosanna and Tingana. Kathy, the cubs of the hyenas, their survival rates are much better compared to a lot of animals, because the hyenas, they stay in clans. So they've got communal dens whereby they can always delegate the responsibility to any other adult to nest their little ones when the others are out looking for something to eat. So hyenas, if you check the milk, it has got quite a lot of proteins, and these proteins, it can keep the little ones going for quite a long time. So that is why the survival chance of the babies of the hyenas is not bad. And again, hyenas, when they are not by the den, their little ones don't always come out to check what's happening. They always hide, and they are very much inquisitive. Every time they pick up a noise, they go and hide. We have seen that by the Juma clan a lot happening. But when the adults are there, they feel comfortable, and you will see them coming closer because the adults are there. The predators, such as the wild dogs, is the one who always give problems, the communal dens of the hyenas, by killing the little ones. So if the milk of the hyena has got such a very lot of proteins, it is clear that these hyenas, when they are not by the den, because sometimes that they go today and don't come back same day. So when they're looking for something to eat, when it's serious, they will go and spend much time still looking. So the little ones at least can survive much longer. And those little ones, they've got to drink milk until they are above 18 months. So I think hyena is the Paula, the animals that these different tribes, they prefer different species. There are some of the tribes who does drink milk from some of these animals. Some, they will tell you the buffalo milk is good and they like them. There are some of the animals where people I can drink the milk. So the hippopotamus, they've been to everywhere, and they are just rubbing all the tracks. If the hippopotamus gone past here earlier this morning when they were going back to the Chitwa Dam, so it means all the animals who has been here before early this morning, all the tracks are just being rubbed. So now I am checking the Chela pen. This is the Gwari pen, and there is nothing here by the Gwari pen. From here I'll be heading towards the Buffalo's Hook Dam. But now let's cross over to the Masai Mara where David is waiting.
You might go to Chelapan, and I'm not sure that Chelapan has any water. A few times I would visit Chelapan and I would see cats there, and most leopards, because we always know water is life. Well, I've been trying to search for my lions, haven't seen any, and I was trying to imagine if they could be out on those huge koppies or those cliffs, rocks. They are either warming themselves up. Once in a while you've seen lions climbing rocks, or what you call koppies, the big ones like that, getting a bit of vitamin D. Or we could even see a leopard. It could be anybody in such beautiful areas. And that still forms part of the Olorol escarpment. And once in a while you have seen lions walking across there, or even elephants. But at the moment, just very pristine, no animal life. But the flora still looks magnificent to watch, and the geology of the rocks around this area. So that's the Olorol escarpment, and it forms one of the boundaries of the Mara Triangle. The Mara Triangle has three arms: that escarpment, the Mara River, and the boundary between Kenya and Tanzania. That's why once in a while you hear us talking of the Mara Triangle. And some of the trees you see there, like the fig trees, which are very iconic of the Mara, making very good shades for would-be animals, be it lions. We have seen them also enjoy the shades of such huge trees. Nicole Kipuli has been missing in action, and the sausages, or the females, have been very closely related to two male lions from the Ondonyo pack. But I can tell you, we want also to find out what might have happened to Kipuli, because the last we saw him, he was mating with one of the females, apparently with the kinktail of the sausage pride, and he has been missing in action, Nicole. So we do not know where he is, but maybe it will not be long before we see him. I still think he got many days to rule and reign this territory, because the last drama he had, he was dealing apparently with two nomadic males that had come from Tanzania. He fought one in the morning and got rid of him, and then he fought another one in the afternoon that was mating with another female lioness from a pride of lions that we call the Owinos. So I think Kipuli is not done, Nicole, and we will see him pretty soon. He'll be back. I still believe he'll be back. He is with two males that used to hang around, or to hang with the sausage females. So a coalition of three males, I would tell you, Nicole, is tough, and they can deal with any other lions. I think they're just giving the Ondonyo pike time before they come back and show them the door. Wow, this is one particular area I expected to see the sausages, because there are few pockets of buffaloes here and there. So I'll just now have to go to a different area and keep chancing, keep crossing fingers and hoping for the best. Because as my friend Sydney likes saying, when you're out here, it's always very unpredictable. You never know what you'll see around the corner. You're driving thinking, well, I'm done, I'm giving up. and then you go boom there, you know, your lions show up. Very good, very good. So I'm gonna take a different direction and still cross fingers on my lions, but I think my new friend Oli wants us to show us magic on tracking.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. How are you all doing? Thank you for joining us this morning. What a beautiful morning. The sun is shining, but it's extremely hot. My name is Oli. My name is Klau. Coming to you live in the Kruger National Park in South Africa. So, Malume, who's Uncle Steve, who exchanged the mic. So now we are still following and tracking the leopard. We've seen the tracks, but they are not fresh. I think they are Tandy's tracks, yesterday's tracks. So now I have the track here, which is a baboon track. So before I explain what's happening here, you can send your questions or comments using hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or YouTube chat stream. Let me sit nicely. Over here, Dave, getting a nice spot there. Yeah. That's nice. So this is a baboon track. It's a male because you can see the actual size is big. The females have smaller track than this one. So let me give you the view of this track. It's this thing over here. Yes, then we'll get the actual size. Let me get a measurement here. Thank you, Malumi. Put it this way. Let me use a stick. This is a front track, and this is a back toe track. Not a toe, sorry about that. Why I said it's a baboon track, because you can see this part over here, it's more like a human track. And then this is a male. I think it's a dominant male, because dominant males have this different walking pattern than the other males in a troop. So they walk in a different way than any baboon. So they walk like this. We walk like this. So that's why we have this track who's for a dominant male. If it wasn't a dominant male, this track over here was going to be at the back from this hind foot. And track identification is not as easy as anyone would think. You need few aspects before you make a final conclusion. That's why tracks are so tricky, and sometimes they're hard. They need a lot of time. So because I'm still following and looking for any tracks or any markings from the cat we're following now, I'll move forward and see whether we can find any tracks.
One side of what we do is when you drive and you see nothing, you know, but you still enjoy the wilderness like this, and the beautiful weather, the great temperatures, and the nice cool, you know, the nice feeling of cool breeze on your face is still something. Earlier I was talking about the privilege we have here in Africa, you know, working and seeing the sunrises every day, the sunsets every day, and I thought that's very special. But there are times you feel, you know, just like that, when you really want to spot particular animals that you do not see, and you're like, where have they gone? It becomes a little bit frustrating. And Reason here being, in this particular pride, there's that one female where I would say 3 weeks ago I made a huge mistake of wrong prediction, and I kept saying in the next 1 week she's going to pop up her cubs. And then at one point I was like, well, sorry, it was not 1 week. In the next 3 days she is definitely going to give birth. Then one day I was like, I am giving that female 24 hours to give birth, and she did not. I still kept seeing her walking together with one other that we call Limpy in the same pride, Kingtail, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about a pride of lions that we call the sausage tree, and Kingtail has a bent tail, and she never gave birth. So, and even the last I saw them, she had not given birth. So I do not know what might have happened, but I think either she looked very big or her body morphology was looking big. It happens. And even one time I guessed she may be carrying 4 cubs. Lionesses will always drop anything between 1 to 4 cubs. Then my final guess was she looks so big because she is carrying 4 cubs. I have no idea what might have happened, but maybe today or tomorrow I might be able to unravel that, because the rains have stopped and some of the roads that we have been using to go track those lions that were waterlogged now, they're easily accessible. So I've cleaned the whole of that area, so I want to take a totally different look. Clear day. Continue asking whether I have a favorite lion pride, and talking about the sausage tree pride. Now, the sausage tree, we normally name these prides here, or most of our animals or characters here in Africa will always name them with the particular themes or with particular reasons or with particular areas they are found in. For example, the Olololos, there's a pride called the Olololos. They're always found near an escarpment that we call the Olololo that I was showing you earlier. Now, this particular pride I'm talking about now, the sausage tree, for a number of reasons they have been known to climb the trees that are called sausage trees. If I see one, I'll be showing you. And they climb them for maybe 2 reasons. Number one, if the grass is too wet and there's so many flies, in the grass, and they become irritating to these particular lions, they've been known to climb those trees and stay away from the flies. That's number one. Number two, on very hot days, they also tend to climb the same trees to get some shade. I mean, those trees are very solid and they've got very huge leaves, which gives some very good cover and very good shade to those lions. But the other most important thing that I love this particular pride for is their resilience, is how they would bring down big prey without the help of a male. I was talking about earlier, for female lionesses, or for the lionesses to bring down a buffalo or big kill, they'll always want, or have muscles of males to come in and flex their muscles to help them to kill their buffaloes. But the sausage, consisting of 5 females, they have been able to bring down buffaloes on their own without males. And Kipuli has been one male that has been, with those females that has been helping them to bring down buffaloes. But once, Kipuli has gone, and even when Kipuli is not around and the females think they need to, get a prey, they have done that easily. So the sausage tree is my favorite pride. Bring that question again. Yeah, I just heard Charlotte and missed everything else. Sorry, we are having a bit of a signal break where I am. Sometimes when we go to drainages, we go down and up. Our signal tends to be a bit weak. So the only thing I heard from there, look, was Charlotte, and that was it. Either, Charlotte, your question is, do the lions here have mange? Was that the question? Not any lions is see here. Either the area I am is very poor in signal, in comms. Still got a challenge here, but hopefully I'll try to go to a bit of a higher area and it'll be much better. Let me keep going up. Maybe as soon as, or the more I get, as soon as I get more elevation, it will be much easier to get the question. Why don't you go back to Sydney and get his latest updates?
I am so very lucky with one of the solitary hippopotamus, not by the dam. This hippopotamus is one of the beneficiaries of the elephants, as this area has been started by the elephants and now is becoming a very big natural dam. The hippopotamus is now doing the mud wallowing. I can see it's not quite a lot of water. He's just getting quite a lot of mud there in order to prevent sunburn. As I indicated earlier, that the sun is getting very strong these days. Look at that. You can see that the body is divided into two colors. You can see the dark color is just the soil color where he is now. He's having the original color on top and a very big dark stripe at the bottom. You can see he's now going out. This hippo is spending much time by these potholes and is also sometimes, oh, there is sleeping again. So he's also spending some of the time under these big trees. And the other animals, predators such as lions, they do try to take him down, but it's always not easy. Hippopotamus can easily retaliate and they are very dangerous animals. So you can see now the sighting is disappearing. These animals, they don't suffer from spending much time in the water. They are adapted to stay much time in these waters. So during the dry season, when the sun is too strong, is when you will see them going in and out. But by the winter season, you will see them. Sometimes they come out, but they do spend much of their time in water. So they don't have a problem with staying or submerging for quite a long time. They can only hide the whole body and the nostrils down underwater for approximately 5 to 6 minutes. But the legs are adapted to stay in water. So now we are just going to carry on and see what we can find. Right to find these animals. So I am checking all these high elevations in the form of termite mounds. The hippopotamus, they can be so funny out of these water holes. So hippos, when they go out, they can spend quite a lot of time grazing, and they go long distances, 16 to 30 kilometers every night. Sometimes the sun does come out when they're still on their way back, and that is when they try to use temporary small water holes just for a night and move on to their original home day after that. And when threatened by predators, they're forced to move during the day back to the original homes. So hippopotamus, when they are chased a lot by predators during the daytime, they dehydrate
Hello again. With this amazing thing over here, but it's very old. So why I stopped here is because it's not about following tracks, like looking at this and that. Also signs are included while trekking. So here I have this big poo over here, which belongs to an elephant. Why I stopped here is because while trailing, you have to know the dangers that might be around, like elephants. How long is how fresh is the dung? How old is the dung or the dropping? This will tell you that you might find these big guys around this place, so you must be alert at all times. That's why you have to check for any dangers and check your wind direction often. Because while I was trekking, they taught me how to check wind direction. You have to check it each and every, it's a few seconds, like 15 to 20, 30 seconds, because the wind can change like this in the bush. So we can see here, this dropping can tell you a story because we from the dry season. Elephants, they change their feeding strategy when the season changes, because during dry season there's less vegetation to feed on. There's a lot of dry twigs and grasses, so that's why we have these sticks inside. Lou, you can tell what dung it is just by the smell. Some dungs, yes, some droppings, yes, you can. Like buffaloes, they smell it the same as the cattle back at home. The elephants, I think, yeah, the elephants you can smell them because they feed on vegetation, so it's easy to tell by smell when they are fresh. So, comparing this dung with this one over here. This one you can see over here, it's like a bullet. You can see the shape over here. Are you getting it, David? Nice one over there. This dung is either a kudu, impala, nyala, or a bushbuck. These are the antelopes we find around here, and then this gives me hope that we might see Hosanna or Tandi or any lines. So I'll be moving around this place and checking whether I'll find fresh tracks of any cats. Let's go to David in the Mara.
Well, very interesting subject there, Oli, when you talk about dungs. And I remember there's a time I was doing a little walk with some friends of mine in Serengeti in Tanzania. Serengeti is a national park in Tanzania. And we made a joke. Sometimes when you see some animal dung here from the herbivores, either from the look, you can tell what dung it is. And one of my friends asked me, what about if you're not able to tell the look? And as Oli was saying, we told them, you can also smell. And if you smell, you're also able to know what dung it is. And then a different friend asked, what about if by look and smell does not tell you 100% what dung it is? And then I looked at my friend and I told him the next thing you do, then you test it, you know? And she just took off. She didn't want to stay close to me because what I did, I had my finger and I just, you know, tried to touch the dung. It was buffalo dung. And I said, you touch it and you put it in your mouth. And the girl just took off. She said, I will never want to be near you, David. Exactly, for like a couple of hours, eh? But apparently I was the one who was driving the car, and she had a bit of phobia by sitting in behind the car. So she had to sit in the front. She had to sit on the co-driver's seat. So she had to sit just next to me. And so I told her, it's so simple. I'm not going to wash my fingers. They're going to remain that same dung. And you're going back to the camp for breakfast. So you have a choice. Come with us or we leave you here. So she ended up sitting there, I'll bet, you know, very happy. But of course, later on I went, washed my hands, fun. So things that go out in the bush. So this particular area I am now, yes, that was something exciting, because even today, every time I meet my friend, she always goes, can I see your fingers first? And I'm always, yes, they're very clean, sparkling, and smelling good. So I'm saying this particular area I am here is where the sausage girls have been staying for a couple of months. And I just came back just to find out if they've come back to their old home, you know. Oh, and there they are. Speak of the devil. Ooh la la. Ooh la la. I think my day is done. I might have seen two of them. Two of the girls I've been talking about, and I could be so excited. This could make my day. I don't want to believe that after working so hard, I've got the sausages. I want to first stop here because I need to breathe out. I can't believe I found my girls. They have been out and missing in action for a whole 1 week. I'm not sure that's the best angle we have, but for now, yes, thank you, Luke. I mean, I can tell you, I've been here every morning for the last, I would say, 8 days, and I have not been able to locate these girls. And I got two of them. I do not know which ones they are, but most likely it could be Kingtail, not sure, or Limpy. I don't see the cubs, so which would translate to Limpy is not here. Limpy has one cub, and there's another female that has two cubs which are much older. And yay, I should, you know, give a little clap for myself much later on and go tell the chef I'll have all the breakfast in the camp for myself, because this has been exciting. I've been a little frustrated the last few days because once I almost got stuck. Carol, how are you? And I'll tell you that's a rather difficult question, because if they identify, Carol, the area they would want to drop their calves, that's where they would be. Now, I got a feeling that the two calves from one of the females, Carol, in this pride were not born very far from here. So what they need to do is first to get safety of the area they are in. They face little challenges once in a while of leopards or hyenas, Carol. But if they would get something like, say, rocks or crevices or some kind of caves or very deep lagers, Carol, that's an area they would give birth. So it's very difficult to know where they would give birth. We'll see them, say for example where they are, they would disappear maybe another 3-5 kilometers, and we'll see them, they'll be having cubs. So all that depends exactly on what they want to do. And very difficult to know where they would give birth. But the most important, Carol, we know lions are very territorial, and I'm not only talking about lions, but even the lionesses, even these girls here, they tend to protect their territory very much. They just need to know the area. If it rains, for example, Carol, that the calves will not be affected by the flooding, or they'll not be rained on as much as the mothers would give them a little bit of a cover. This has truly made my day, having seen these lionesses here. And anybody joining us now, this particular pride is called the Sausage Tree Pride, that I've been searching for the last 1 week. I think today I have a wonderful Thursday to have located them after disappearing, going missing in action for a couple of days. One reason I would say the areas I would have thought they would be was almost impossible to access because of the rains. Deja vu, on average, how long will a pride keep, or rather will the lions keep a pride? It could be anything from a year to two. But the young lions, once they're born, the males at about 2 and 2.5 years, they'll always, you know, leave the pride to go form their own coalition or go join other males. Some of them, as soon as they're out of the pride, they feel they're big enough and they want to take over. So sometimes a coalition would keep, or a male would keep a territory like this with his females here for about a year or two, or sometimes even months. Should another coalition of males come in and they feel they want to try them out, they come and of course they go for a fight. If they lose, that's it. So at the moment, I think we didn't see Kipuli, which has been the dominant male around this area for quite some time. We never saw him fight. The two males that are with these girls here that are called the Ondonyo Pack, we never saw the fight. But as far as we are concerned, those two males are the ones which are hanging around with these girls. But I'm sure there was a takeover, and every takeover involves sometimes fight, sometimes, you know, getting hurt and getting injuries, you know, sometimes even death. So it depends. But the very good coalitions would keep a pride for 3-4 years. Charlotte, I am so sorry I had missed your question earlier because the area was a little bit poor in signal and it was very windy. Now, Charlotte, we give these lions or prides names depending ideally on where they're found or their behavior. This particular pride, Charlotte, they love to climb trees that we call the sausage trees. If we see one today, I'll show you how a sausage tree looks like, but we call them sausage trees because when they fruit, their fruits take the shape of a sausage. And they have always been known to love to climb those particular trees, either to get away from the flies or the grass. You see, like where that one is laying down, sometimes they get so many flies there and they get irritated. And what they'll do, when they go up on those trees, those flies don't follow them there. That's number one. But also the sausage trees, they make a very good cover or shade for these particular lions, and the branches are very solid and smooth. So they would love to go up there. And because we used to find them many times climbing those trees, Charlotte, that's how we ended up naming this particular pride the sausage tree. We have another pride, as I was saying earlier, that is called the Olololo, and the Olololo pride, it's very close to a particular escarpment called Olololo. Now, these lions seem to be quite flat, not doing much. I'll just move on and chance if I'm going to see the other three members that have the cabs, but in the meantime, we'll take you back to Zoli, who could be tracking.
Finally, I'm standing right next to my favorite signs in the world. This might be confusing. David spotted this. Thank you, my camera, spotting such a wonderful sign over here. We have some diggings over here, which belongs to an animal that feeds on roots. You can see over here the roots. And here we have the roots, and then we have this deep hole over here. This might look when you don't spend a lot of time. So these holes are confusing with a porcupine or an aardvark. You might think this is an aardvark if you just take a slight look and leave the place. But why I'm saying this is a porcupine is because if you can check the actual size of this hole, it's small and it goes for the roots. Because the porcupines, they feed on roots and tubers. And aardvark, it feeds on termites and ants. And the size of the hole will be much bigger than this one. And these holes are so helpful in the bush because when they are still fresh, they can accommodate like the cats or any other species like jackals. They will come here and lie in them to cool their body temperature. And some diggings can be big, so they accommodate other animals to breed in there and keep their cubs. Sorry, Lou, I didn't get the question there. Oh, nice one, I got it. How big is this compared to a mongoose hole? Oh, mongooses, they dig their holes, but in most cases they love going to the holes that have been constructed already. And we have a lot of different some species of mongoose which we find around here, so different in size and they live in different holes. But for example, if we can compare this hole with dwarf mongoose holes, where we mostly find in the termite mound, it will be smaller than this one. It will be this actual size that you might see here. So it will accommodate this small body that will squeeze in here and have a nice house deep in there. So this one definitely, it won't be a mongoose hole, or maybe it might be a wide-tailed mongoose. But here you can see there's nothing living here. This thing was feeding and it left the area, and you can see the ground and the soil. It's not dark, it's light, so it means this sign over here, it's very old. So I'm leaving now this place. While I'm leaving, let's go to the other guides who will show you all the interesting stuff of the wildlife.
I am still up to these lovely leopards here. Now I'm driving just by the Muluwati, and here by Muluwati is also very much quiet. I've just started the beginning of Muluwati just now. Still no sign of any of these leopards. So these leopards must be enjoying themselves somewhere deep in these thick bushes. And if not, it means it's somewhere high up into the trees, because there is no evidence of these leopards here. They're not even coming out for water or something. So it has been a while now as this leopard has been hiding here for about 2 days. The last sighting was somewhere around here. The only dominating scent here where we are, it is the elephant smell. Elephant is the one who has been to everywhere. This is the dry riverbed called Muluwati Indigo Girl. I am checking anywhere and everywhere under these trees. No tracks has been reported this morning. And there's also quite a lot of duikers, which is their special preferences. So now let's quickly cross over back to the Masai Mara, where David is having the lions.
Well, I have left those 2 female girls, and what I want to do now is to move, find out if I'm going to see the other 3, because of the other 3, 2 of them have cubs. So one has 2 cubs, which I think could be going almost now to 4 months. I think earlier I'd said 5, and one, Olympi, has 1 cub. It's 3 months now. Now, this Laga area, or the area we found those 2, is one particular area they have stayed for a very long time. They left the other day. I do not know for what reason, but I would guess, I was thinking maybe to look for food or follow prey, the buffalo size. And shortly before, I said, well, they might be back where they have always been. I'm sure you all remember I was able to spot those 2 girls there. So what I want is to chance on the other 2 females that have the calves, because with this kind of light and this kind of good temperatures, the calves should be out and about, just jumping around and playing. If not, then maybe look for the males. I was talking about the males that we think now have taken over from the other males. We just engage my four-wheel drive here. I don't want to get stuck. Take the other route. It hasn't dried completely. It's still got areas that are still very wet, and you have to be careful where you go. Sometimes it's good to off-road a bit, and of course with a lot of care. You'll watch you don't get into holes, and also don't hit some boulders. Don't want to damage the car. Some areas when it gets a bit slippery, you have to put a bit more momentum to get yourself out. Sorry, question from Nanak about the trees with the lions. Let's go back to my normal low ratio or higher ratio. The lions do what? Look there. Nanak, good question, and I think you like to know that lions do climb trees like leopards. Yes, they do. Lions do, but not as agile as leopards. You see, leopards do not struggle to go up the trees, and leopards will very easily just up a tree. But you notice the lions will still do the same, but they're always a bit slow and very careful. What lions will also not do, lions will not take, say, their prey on top of trees like leopards do. Leopards, for them, it's very easy. Once they get their prey on the ground and they have somebody to kill it to death, they just grab. They've got very strong muscles to take the prey on the ground. But many times, like those two females that we saw there, I hope you saw them too. We call them the sausage tree. Pride, they have been known to climb particular trees that you call the sausage, and easily they go, but not, as I said again, as easily as leopards. Wonderful weather we got now, great light. I just need to know where those other three girls are today, because I might come back to this area this afternoon if I don't see them now. But at least I have an idea where I've seen them. And lions being social and very social cats, the other three definitely are not very far from there. So they could be in the same radius, or they would have been on the other side of the laga, and maybe I didn't see them. Let's go back to Sydney and find out he is winning this morning.
Now I am going to cover this other part of the Muluwati drainage line, because I just did the half going up. Now I'm going to check the other last part, because if I don't check this drainage line as a whole, I might leave him behind much more this side. So I want to make sure that this area, whole area, is covered. So the cats, such as Hosanna, they prefer to just lying down doing nothing. So he must be lying down somewhere around there. Beverly, the one which is stronger between the two is the leopard. The reason why I'm saying is the leopard is that the leopard is solitary, and everything he's doing alone. It's not a collective agreement like what the lions do. Here by the leopard, he must have to hunt by himself. He must catch an animal, fight an animal until he's dead by himself. After that, he must have to use all his strength to drag the animal up into a tree, still alone. So you can see that the leopards, they are much more stronger than the lions. Individual lions, they cannot do what the leopards does. because they used to work as a collective. So look, I've got the beautiful nyalas here in front of me. They are all young males. It's a small bachelor head. Maybe the other ones are somewhere here. So the nyalas is one of those very hairy antelopes, and they've got some of the disruption markings. Oh, here comes the adults right at the back. You can see it's crossing. The disruption markings are those markings you are seeing on these animals. It's part of what is called crypsis. So the crypsis is a strategy which is employed by these animals in order to avoid detection when the animal is feeding, to avoid the predators to judge if it's a prey or not. They just blend with the surrounding. So I'm sure it's quite a huge responsibility for a leopard after catching down a nyala, whether a small one or an intermediate male. It must be a huge responsibility of getting rid of these hairs because they are so fluffy. If you look underneath the tail on these animals, there is a bright white color. You can see it there. When this animal is threatened, they normally show off that bright color in order to give the attention to the predator to mark it, so that during the chase they can surprise the predator by just by just closing the tail. When the tail is switched off, I can promise you this animal is going to match the surrounding, and the predator will find it very difficult to see him. This is quite a very beautiful animal indeed. So now that the sighting is disappearing, I'm just going to carry on further and see if we can find something by the Muluwati. So let's again go back to Koli, who's got something sleeping.
Yes, I'm still alive and live. So you remember you asked me about the mongoose diggings? I'm sitting next to the holes of the mongoose. This is the dwarf mongoose hole and home. Let's look over here. This side over here, you can see it's a mongoose. It's small compared to that hole we saw over there, which it was a porcupine. They were digging here, just around. Why I'm saying this, the mongoose, is because of, we can see the droppings around this termite mound. And this is active. If we get a stick, you can see the entrance over here. They live inside here. This means that termites, they are no longer using this mound. So it's used by the dwarf mongoose. And then Lou, what a nice question. You need to know how many mongoose they can live in a mound. They can be up to 10 mongooses. It depends on how big is that family. Then they will be living here, and there will be a dominant pair that runs the whole mound. So in most cases, if you see diggings, like huge diggings around a termite mound or on a termite mound, definitely you must know that those diggings are from an aardvark, because aardvark, they love feeding on termite. The shade is so nice, so I live here, but I have to leave because we're still on our way to track and trail for the leopard. No fresh tracks yet, but we will be happy.
Well, it's always good to talk about mongoose, and especially when you talk about the dwarf mongoose, which happens to be the very smallest carnivores that we got here in Africa. Last night on the drive, I was very lucky to see a white-tailed mongoose, and I was talking about the very major difference between the white-tailed mongoose and the dwarf mongoose, for example, the banded mongoose or the striped mongoose, sometimes as we call them, because the banded mongoose in general or the dwarf mongoose will always go in colonies, 15, 20, 30, 40 of them. But the white-tailed mongoose and other types of mongoose like the marsh mongoose, you'll always see them in ones. They're very solitary. Well, I don't think I was very lucky to see the other three females that I was thinking about. So what I've decided to do is to leave them alone and come back this afternoon in the very same area and chance on the three females, or rather two females that have the cubs, which will be quite exciting to see. So in the meantime, this particular area here, which brings me back to where I was in the day or early in the morning, is called the Bant area, and it could be one area where we could see cheetahs. We haven't seen cheetahs for quite some time. I just got a friend of mine who I just might wave at him for just 2 seconds. Yaje? Mbele kabisa, ukipita hiyo kambi ya Mungu, kule laga ndio tunavuka ndio turudi pande ile nyingine ya laga, mbele kidogo kuna kike wawili. Na hujatoka kwa chini kujaribu. Iko wapi? Jana ilikuwa kwa ile. Sijajaribu hiyo leo. Jana ulikuwa? Sikukua. Sawa. Sorry folks, friend of mine, he was trying to gather some update from me where the females are or where those sausages are, and I gave him an idea. Apparently, as guides, we have our own radio language or code sign we use. And Luke says I need to translate all what we're saying. In Kenya, we got about 42 different tribes, 42 tribes in about 45 dialects. And most of those dialects are very different from each other. One or two could be related. So all what we're saying there with that friend of mine is, what have you seen? Where is it exactly, you know? And it becomes quite a challenge sometimes, because here in the wilderness, we don't have proper signage. We don't have an avenue or that block, that street, that road. So what we do, we'll always say, do you know this road? You have always seen that big mountain. Yes, before you get to that mountain, after about 2 kilometers, there's that huge fig tree, there's that huge sausage tree. Turn to the right, drive another 5 minutes, and then turn left. There's a rock, and there's a, you know, that's ideally how we give directions. And the challenge comes when you say one thing and your friend gets another thing. It becomes very frustrating. And yes, Indigo Girl, yes, that is the situation in Kenya. 42 tribes, 45 dialects. You go across behind me in a country called Tanzania, over 100 tribes there. So, but luckily, all of us are brought together by one national language that we call Swahili Indigo Girl. So when you hear words like Jambo, Asante Sana, Hakuna Matata, that's our language. Nature Girl, how are you? And you're asking me how many languages can I speak? Well, locally I speak my mother tongue, and I'm not sure you have heard of Bantus. So Bantus have different tribes. We got people we call the Kikuyu, Luyas, Kisis. So I speak my mother tongue, which is Kikuyu, and I speak another local dialect that is called Kamba. And we have another group of people we call Nilotics, and the Nilotics is where the Maasai come. So bits of that. So locally here, I can speak 3 dialects. And I also speak a bit of Spanish, and not sure whether I might be saying buenos dias. So give or take about 7 languages.
Apologies for the network difficulties. Now I am heading much more towards the tree house dam again to see if we cannot find a last-minute leopard. So I've been to everywhere from Central, Buffalo's Hook, Chitwa, North Tracks. So maybe they are much more this side of the tree house. But it's normal, the leopards, when the sun is too hot, this is what they do. So I speak quite a lot of different African languages. If you know that bird called the fork-tailed drongo, the fork-tailed drongo is one of those birds who does something which is called an allometric behavior, where he does imitate the other bird's calls. I speak Venda. Venda is my original language. I was born there in Venda, and then I speak Shangaan, and I'm very much fluent on these languages, Venda and Shangaan. I speak Tswana, and I also speak Pedi. Oh, there's a hyena here, lying down. It means the leopard must be somewhere here. This hyena cannot just come and lie down here. There's a hyena lying down here. I will carry on with the languages, but there's something I found out here. So you can see there's a hyena which is lying down at the moment, and I don't think this hyena is lying down because it's not in a good condition. So this hyena must be very healthy, but maybe it's on standby. Maybe somewhere around here there is a predator, because hyenas, they always go and wait until they get a chance. When the predators are dropping the bones and small pieces of meat from the trees as they are feeding, that is when they're getting some small pieces, specifically when the leopards got a kill. So I was saying, I speak Venda, I speak Tswana, I speak Pedi, I speak Sotho, and I speak Shangaan, I speak English, a little bit of Afrikaans and Zulu. So I speak about 8 different languages, and that is quite a lot. So I'm just going to check here. So now I am left to learn a little bit of leopard's language and the other. You know, the animal I am interested to learn the language is the hyenas. You know why? Because hyenas, they always go after leopards and lions, which means if I learn their language, I will understand where the food is. I will understand where these leopards and the lions are. So let me just check around here, because I can see this hyena is looking at this side here. Now, somewhere here, maybe there's something. I'm just hoping there is a leopard around here, because this hyena cannot just come and lie down here. So they normally do this when the predators are here. I didn't see any tracks for the leopards, but I can promise you maybe there is a predator here. It's a nice drainage line. It's looking nice and cool. So this hyena was aiming something at this side. And this is an area where Tingana caught a warthog some time ago. So these leopards, they do come and catch in this corner. So now let's cross over back to David, who is just about to finish with his language lessons.
Sorry everybody, at one point you lost me, or did I lose you? I had a bit of gremlins. These are things that sometimes will be, will happen. And hopefully, Nature Girl, you're still watching. We were talking about the languages I speak, and you had done all the local languages, and we're just about to talk about the international languages I speak. So Kenya, ideally, I would say our international business or universal language is English. Kenya was colonized by the Brits, so English is our business language. And when I was in college, we were given choices by our lecturers. You either had to learn another foreign language apart from English, and the college I went to, we were told English does not count as a foreign language. We needed another foreign language, and apparently we had a choice of French or Spanish. And just want to overtake a vehicle here. Hopefully I don't interfere with them a lot, and sorry guys. And apparently I wanted to do French, but we were in a class of 20, and of 20 students, 15 of them wanted to do French, and only 5 wanted to do Spanish. So the teachers were very strict. They said it must be 10-10. So we had to vote. We had to do a small raffle, and I ended up picking Spanish, and I did Spanish for about 3 years. So Spanish could be my other foreign language apart from English. Okay. Time to keep going. This is one area that I would be excited seeing a cheetah, like how I got excited seeing those 2 females. And talking of a cheetah, I'm sure we gave you the sad news of the demise of Naratoi. Naratoi was one of the females. Carol, good question. I was just talking about the cheetahs. I'll come back to that. Our local dialects, maybe of the 45, I would say only 5 could be similar. The rest are very different. You could have, Carol, about, say, 20 people from the same country. If they don't speak Swahili, which is our national language, or English, or maybe any other foreign language like Spanish or French, you could have 20 people of the same country, same citizens, who will be sitting together, and they will not understand each other, because they'll be coming from totally different tribes, and none of those tribes or languages are related. That's the most interesting part. It's like having a French person, an English person, a Spanish person, a Portuguese, you know what I'm saying, a person speaking Dutch, all together. And if everybody speaks his or her own language, I can tell you the 5 of them, that could be the scenario. So, Caro, it's possible to have even 30 different people of the same country, of same nationality, and none of them would be understanding the other. So that's Africa for you, and I think Africa is the continent, I would say, with the most languages spoken all over the world. All right, it could be a morning today to test ourselves in terms of how many languages we can speak, and I guess Zoli could be speaking a bit of Shangaan. I'm sure he's also good in English. He got better English than mine. Let's also find out what other languages he can speak.
Thank you, David. Thank you. I can speak a lot of languages, especially in South African languages. I'm from a tribe called Ndebele. I know how to speak Ndebele, Northern Sotho, Southern Sotho, Zulu, a little bit of Xhosa. I can speak Shangaan. I'm in a Shangaan area now. I can speak Shangaan. And I went to Kenya, so I know how to greet in Kenya, in Swahili, in Kenyan language, in Swahili. Yes. And I also know how to listen to an African person. Yeah. So I can even speak the wildlife language, which is what we are having here right now. I have droppings. These are the signs of the wild. You can see these pellets. There are more than 40 or 50. I can't even count these droppings. So these droppings, they belong to an animal called a common duiker. They're more confusing to a steenbok. What I'm saying is a common duiker, it's because they are left here behind but a steenbok will scrub or try to close their droppings because they want to be detected by any predator. So what's happening now, I'm comparing these droppings that I have here. Starting from my right, this is an elephant dropping, common dagger, impala, and we have a rabbit. A rabbit. Oh, it's not a rabbit. Squab here. Sorry about that. So, looking at these droppings, you can see how these things feed and how much they feed and the size of these things. You can see this, so you can tell the size from the droppings because you can see an elephant has these big droppings because it's a big animal and it feeds on plant material, grass material, roots, bark, everything that might have nutrients. Yes, superhero, they look like coffee beans. So I think we can make coffee out of this, but I will ask Malum Steve, are you allowed to use... So to tell the difference between these things, it's so easy because you can tell the actual size of an animal. So while I'm continuing with my trekking, we can go to Sydney and see what he has for us.
I am just investigating around here where we saw the hyena, and I've been to the tree house dam because it's the nearest water hole here where we are, but I saw nothing around there and no tracks coming out. I'm just gonna head back to where we left that hyena and have a good sighting and see where these hyenas is looking, as maybe if we pick up his direction of concentration we might be able to see who is around here. I didn't copy that question nicely. If you can repeat that for me. So the animal that I love the most is the dung beetle. It's a very small animal with quite a huge positive impact in the ecology. So dung beetle is the only animal which started navigating at night, make use of the galaxy, the Milky Way. That hyena got disappeared here now. You see, the hyena is hiding away the predators here. This hyena don't want to show me where this predator is. I can't even see where these hyenas went to. The tracks are not showing here. So I just want to check around these big trees somewhere here. Maybe we might be lucky with the hyena or the leopards. So I just want to try and check where the tracks went to. Can't find his tracks. Oh, I saw something here. I don't know if it's him, but I saw something somewhere. Oh, that hyena is right here by the drainage. Just gonna reverse so that you can see the hyena nicely. So you can see that it's very difficult to see these animals when they're deep in this drainage. If you check there, you can see there's just a small portion. So that is the hyena. You can see the spots He's just hiding deep in there. So it means he must be waiting for something here in this area. It's just that we're not seeing what exactly is happening, but something must be happening here. And so far, it's the only hyena I'm seeing. The good news, this is a nice green area indeed. When the bush is recovering like this, it becomes very difficult for us to see these animals. Look at how that hyena is resting there. It's not easy. We found him because we knew this hyena was here. So I'm just going to carry on trekking now and see if we can find some of the evidence which might lead us to any of the lovely animals. So now let's quickly go back to David and see if there's any luck with the lions.
Well, very good, and not much is happening at the moment. We're just cruising around on this road that we call the escarpment road, and just trying to make plans. How lucky I was this morning having seen those two females of the sausage tree pride. I'm looking forward to coming back or to going back in the same area, finding out where the other three would be. The wind has just picked up now. I don't know why. It's much faster than it was when we started this morning. Hopefully it doesn't bring us some rain, because if it rains, then it'll mean the area was in would be very difficult to go back. It's just about starting to dry up, and we need a bit of more sunshine in that particular area before you can go and commit. It's easier to go in the morning in daylight because you can see where you're going, and of course if you get stuck you can get easy help. You can be rescued a lot easier than at night. At night it's more complicated because very few people will be out, very few people would maybe come in that particular area, and ideally or generally things tend to work out in more of a slow motion at night than during the day. But on such good roads like this one here, they'll always marram it. The park management will always bring marram. But if you look carefully on the left or the right or the side, it's different, two different colors of soil, because the actual soil that's meant to be here is the black soil. But the one on top is just marram that's dug somewhere, and it's just brought here by a lorry or a tractor. Then you have a grader just to compact it and making the road more solid, making sure vehicles don't get stuck. But any other road, either left or right, it will all be black cotton soil, which of course when you go you have to cross your fingers. But ideally we'll always take chances once in a while, because we know we have pretty good cars, you know, four-wheel drives, and either we are using high ratio or low ratio. If you get stuck, we've got a few formulas we'll always do to get ourselves out. We'll always carry a very big shovel or a spade just to dig out the black cotton soil. Or if worse comes to us, we'll use our machetes. Oops, my heart's being blown away by the wind. We'll use our machetes to cut some branches and put underneath the tires for us to get some curve for the vehicles to move on. So those are some of the challenges we go through when it rains. But as it is now, the weather is just fantastic. Anna Marie, how are you? And you're asking, has anyone seen Kakenya recently? No. Kakenya was last seen, I would say, what, 3 weeks ago? I saw her. I was not doing a segment, I was doing some other stuff out in the bush, and I saw Kenya from a distance. And she was not very far from where I saw those two lionesses, Anna Marie. Not sure if you're watching. But suddenly, I hope, Anna Marie, you got the sad news. Kenya lost her daughter, Naratoy. This is about a month ago, end of November. So we are saying the good news, at least Naratoy left behind a fully grown male cub that she raised to maturity. So she hasn't been seen, and you got very many people who are looking for Kenya today. If she is seen, it will be pretty good news, and it will be very epic to see Kenya. She's one female we have been following around here. So the people also out on the drive. So Anna Marie, just keep watching. This afternoon we'll be going back to the same area, and if either of my friends will see Kenya, we always share information, and it's very easy for me to go there, and we'll have her on shot this afternoon. Thank you very much, and I'll always encourage everybody when you can. South Africa, everything here, it's just wonderful. The landscape, the weather, the food, and I would say above all the people, you know. So you get lots of warmth when you come to Africa. I've always told many friends of mine when I used to get in a different company, when you come to Africa, you are never the same person again. You are totally changed, you know. We'll always make sure when you go back a different person from what we show you, from what we tell you. And I have personally believed that Africa is the origin of man. This is the home of all of us. So when people come to Africa, they are always coming back home. Okay. Just keeping on and finding out who else we see on our way home. And I'm sure Sydney has been working very hard today. What happened to the leopards today, Sydney?
Or they go out, you know?
Here with David, Africa is so rich in terms of the biodiversity, and this is so beautiful. Here where I am at the moment, look at the green trees starting to bring back the leaves. If you come here by the winter season, everything is going to be different. But now you can see too much food for the browsers and grazers. So there's quite a lot of insects who are also making quite a lot of calls. Listen to that. So that is what is called strudulation. Strudulation is a call which is produced by the insects by rubbing their wings against their four legs. So it's what we are hearing now, but this one, the cicadas, how they produce sound, they don't rub wings against the four legs. They vibrate the stomach, and then you hear that kind of a lovely noise. So cicadas are some of those insects you cannot see well. When they are standing against the branch, you won't see them. It's not easy. They are so very much tiny and camouflaged. They just look like the bark of trees. So that was a nice greeting by the woodland kingfisher. Yeah, I am looking for this leopard. We're not running out of the leopards, so they are somewhere in the area. It's just that now, when the weather is so hot, it does restrict the activities of those kind of predators. But we will see them. It's normal. We will see them. Maybe this afternoon we might be lucky with them again. Rosinda, the ground hornbills. By this time of the year, it's difficult a little bit. Why? Because they've got quite a lot of food availability. If you check down beetles, they like frogs. And now there's quite a lot of frogs. And they get these frogs just by the aquatic areas, by the small dams, and by these non-seasonal, the non-perennial rivers. They are carrying quite a lot of these frogs, so that's why we don't see them now, because they are concentrating a lot there. But when food becomes scarce, it's when you will see them everywhere trying to forage. So it's some of those birds I haven't seen for quite a while, the ground hornbills. Roshni, the woodland kingfisher, will just say chip 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 chip. That is the woodland kingfisher. If you hear that kind of a call, you must know that now the birds, they are all coming back. It's a sign that they are back from migration. So I can see that so here I am going to check around the quarantine. While I'm going to check around the quarantine, let's cross over back to David. And David must have to at least imitate one of the calls.
Fantastic. Kingfishers are always very interesting birds to see. And most of the woodland kingfishers. I would say my favorite kingfisher is the pied kingfisher, you know. The pied kingfishers are black and white. And when I say that my favorite kingfishers is because of when you see them hunting or when you see them looking for prey, they'll be going on top of some water pan or some, you know, any water, either in a little swamp or on a spring or a river. And they always tend to like hang, you know, in the air at one point, and they just keep flapping their wings like this. And what they do, they'll always mesmerize the prey or whatever they're looking for, be it a fish under the water. And what the fish will do, will turn around and, you know, look at the kingfisher. And what happens, the fish gets mesmerized, looks at the kingfisher, concentrates the kingfisher, and like, what's happening there? And in a flash, the kingfisher just dives down, shoop, in the water, and before the fish realizes, the kingfisher, you know, just grabs it and goes to eat it. I want to stop somewhere here so that we can have a great view of the Mara, because I think we have had a wonderful morning. So let me just park here. We're gonna have a great view of this Mara, and what a beautiful morning it has been. And if anybody is happy, I think I'm the happiest person, having seen the sausages, the two girls from the sausage fry. Look at that view of the Mara. And I want to thank all of you for having been with us this morning. And remember, we'll be out again this afternoon for more action on this Christmas time. Don't miss to join us. Look at the great view of the Mara Triangle, the savannah. So for all of you, I want to thank everybody for having been with us, and we'll be seeing you again this afternoon. On behalf of my colleagues, thank you very much and goodbye.